session. So welcome back. Welcome administrators, especially our guest of honor. Thank you so much for attending. The teachers could not do this without your support, and so we thank you very much for coming and attending today. We're going to get started first of all, and thanks to Miss Joy Davis. She is the one who did the lovely job of decorating the room with the Magic is in You theme and provided all of this for us. And she is also our wonderful support lady who has brought what all of you want, and that is to earn the door prizes at the end. So we do have some door prizes thanks to Miss Davis. So make sure that you write your name on the little sticky pieces that are going around and fold them up so that they're not sticky anymore. And then we will put them in our magic hat and we will do some magic at the end. This theme just goes along so great with what we're going to be talking about and what you're going to be sharing today. And if you open up your little folders that you have on the table for you, you will see in there our agenda. You have a copy of the PowerPoint, which should look familiar to you because we went over that the first day of our class. We went over most of that. So we're just going to review a little bit from that today. That's really more for the benefit of your administrators and for us to just to remind ourselves why we are doing this and why we want to use arts integration. But then what I want to start with is our little saying that Ms. Davis found for us, and it's magic is believing in yourself. If you can do that, you can make anything happen. That is what we want to instill in our students, and that's what I want to hopefully support you and instill in you. I want you to have a high sense of self-efficacy. Remember, we talked about how important that is for our students, and it's also important for teachers because that affects our students' self-efficacy. So we want to make sure that we can develop this magic. We're going to get started just by going over some announcements. I think some of you will find this one hopefully as a Christmas present for you. I don't think that I shared this with you, but if I have, well then so I shouldn't have because it takes the fun away from telling you now. But Merry Christmas. You guys will have an additional class paid for by the grant. So I don't know if I shared that with you or not. But they decided for this cycle funding to cover a class. It was easier for them to do that than deal with trying to pay for housing and all those kind of expenses. So I thought, well, I don't think the teachers are going to mind that because the class cost a whole lot more than their housing. So that is, you can plan for that. So basically what that means for you is that you already had your 2 classes paid for in the spring from the grant, and then all 3 of your classes this summer will be covered for by the grant, right? And then if you agree to be another art coach for the next school year, then you'll get 2 additional classes paid for during the next school year, right? And then of course your following summer classes would again be paid for by the grant. So I think that means you would probably have 2 classes to pay for your whole master's, so that's good news for you. The other announcements I wanted to make to you was just an update on, we had another grant partner meeting yesterday. Art-E, which remember we talked about, Art-E was going to be the support website for all of you as art coaches and also for administrators and pretty much for any teacher that wants to learn more about using arts integration. That will now be housed on ICUF's website. Dr. Hicks from ICUF is going to be handling that because Ringling, who was originally doing that, is not doing it anymore. That's going to be rolling out a little later. I really wanted all of the teachers to be able to collaborate with each other as originally designed, so I suggested that ICUF create an Untie the Right Brains Facebook page, which they agreed and they are. So you guys will all be able to collaborate on there, all the teachers in the grant program. So not just you, but the teachers from University of Tampa, the teachers from the ones who aren't pursuing masters, but just coursework, any teacher out of the 175, I think, that are in Florida that are participating, will be able to collaborate on there. Also on there will be examples as we submit them. If you feel free as you complete assignments or you have activities and lessons that you're doing, all of that will be up there also, so that all of the teachers can kind of help each other and support each other and share what they're doing and kind of go back and forth. So in your coaching plans, you can think about that too. That can be another way that you can serve as an art coach if you feel like you might want to reach outside the bounds of your own school or your own district. And the other really fun, exciting, I'm excited about this, is the Artastic conference that is for all of you. It is for your administrators. There will be local business people invited, congressmen. There'll be all kinds of people invited. It's going to be our celebratory event for this entire grant program that we are doing. It will be, the dates have been decided, so if you want to, now let's see if I can remember them. It's a Friday night, and an all-day Saturday, and I think some Sunday, I think. But I think that's June 17th, if somebody wants to check if that's the exact right date. But it is somewhere in that week. It'll be the Friday night and the Saturday. Now, if you are actually in a class that week, because I believe that is our first week of classes, I don't know if it was cohort 1 or cohort 2, we will be adding that to our class plans, activities, whatever. So just note on your calendar. I don't remember what your schedule is. If you are, make sure that you attend that, and more information will be coming out. Also, that is a chance for you to share what you're doing in your school, in your district. If you want to think about that as part of your art coaching plans, there will be requests for proposals. So if you actually might want to present a session at the conference, and or maybe a poster board to show that what you're doing, I will be getting that information out to you. Okay. So it will be lots of fun. They'll have some guest speakers. Plan on that. It'll be your first chance for all of you to get together throughout the state of Florida. And that will be housed at Eckerd College, which is on Clearwater, I believe. Clearwater. Yes, Clearwater. Okay. If you did not sign in, please make sure that you signed in. That's very, very important. As you know, this was a grant requirement. So if you forgot to sign in, make sure that you sign in. Make sure also that you put your name on a sticky for the door prizes later. And I think that is all of our housekeeping that we need to go over. What I wanted to start with, just talk briefly about, which we did before, just a review. Why use the arts? What's the big deal about the arts? And as you remember, we talked about this before, and we have to have high expectations of all of our students, right? No Child Left Behind requires us to do that. We are expected to have high expectations for all our students. Response to intervention is demanding that we differentiate, and we teach to our students' levels and interest. So how can we do that for our students? The first part, before we can have high expectations, and sometimes we forget about this, and this is what I say takes the magic out of teaching, because how many times do we feel like, oh, here's another required, test we have to prepare for, here's another required, curriculum we have to implement, and we forget that if we do not have high self-efficacy, then we really truly cannot have high expectations, can we? And that is true of ourselves as teachers as well as our students. So we first need to think about, how do we do that? How do we keep our own self-efficacy high? How do we instill a sense of high self-efficacy in our students? How many of you guys know that my history in teaching for 14 years was working with the students who had behavior disorders, who in Miami for 9 years, very low socioeconomic status, many problems. I worked with kids who weren't passing reading and in the intensive reading classes. I worked with kids with various disabilities and autism, and they all struggled with this sense of self-efficacy. And we know self-efficacy, what do we mean by that? Well, how can they believe that they can be competent on a task? How can we touch that in our students? That is what I think is the magic of teaching.